This is Business Tonight. Nigeria to raise about $400 million in bonds. Nigeria's power generation capacity increases to 6,000 megawatts. Zimbabwe Ecocash tightens transaction limit as forex crisis deepens, and China bans North Korea product, dismisses trade war with the United States. We have details in a moment. I am Yemisi Landredo. United Nations Industrial Development Organization, in collaboration with the Network of Investment and Technology Promotion Council, has re-echoed the importance of investment and technology promotion for the non-oil sector in Nigeria. Well, this formed the thrust of discussions at a workshop on investment, profiling the details, the growth of the non-oil sector. Correspondent to Lokwe Ogunjobi reports.
In the 70s, agriculture was the mainstay of the Nigerian economy. The oil boom of the same period brought about a gradual shift from agriculture to petroleum exploration, making Nigeria depend heavily on oil and gas earnings. The drastic drop in the price of crude in 2015 sent strong signals to oil-producing nations on the need to diversify their economies. Nigeria has since focused on its non-oil sector.
When you think about diversification, you need to be a little bit out of the box with this value chain of agribusiness. You need also to speak about some innovative sectors, value addition sectors of manufacturing, for example, but also maybe a little bit unexpected sectors, like we are talking with the Lagos government on Fashion Hub.
Members of the private sector have an important role to play in the actualization of this shift from oil-dependent country to a non-oil-based economy. Professionals gathered here are set to address some of the contending issues.
How can your business thrive, and what do you need? Because you may even have the idea, and when the financial is not there, this is where you need an ITPO. They are coming in with NASIMA as the voice of the organized private sector. Our advocacy is that you have these plans, stages of the plan of your business, and then finally the method of financing.
The challenges we have in the industrial space is not so much, it's not only about the external environment, which is infrastructure, finance. It's also about the internal environment. Internal environment has to do with the capacity of those who are running the business, those who are operating the business, to also understand the industry, to be able to appraise, to be able to assess the project, to be able to assess the feasibility of a project. Industry
watchers say there is need to increase production in both agriculture and manufacturing sectors to ensure balanced growth of the economy. Tolu Lokwe Ogunjobi, TVC News, Lagos.
Well, Nigeria plans to raise 135 billion naira, that's well over $400 million in bonds by the middle of next week. The debt office will sell 35 billion naira of bonds, that's about $96 million due in 2021, and 50 billion naira each of bonds, about $137 million due in 2027 and 2037, using a Dutch auction system. Settlement is expected 2 days after the sale of the bonds, and the bonds are reopenings of previous issues. Now, Nigeria, which has Africa's biggest economy, issues sovereign bonds each month to help fund its budget deficit, support the local debt market, and maintain a benchmark for companies to follow. Also, the Lagos state government has announced that it had closed the 85 billion naira, that's about $234 million, Series 2 bond issuance. The bond was designed to improve the physical and social infrastructure in the state. Now, Commissioner for Finance, Akiyemi Ashadi, says the bond was issued in 2 tranches of 46 billion naira, that's about $126 million, maturing August 2024, and 39 billion naira, that's about $107 million, maturing August 2027. The Series 2 was the largest bond issuance in Nigeria's capital market in the last 4 years. All right, from bonds to stocks, let's see what the global market is saying today. With the stocks there, we'll begin in Asia, where the Hang Seng exchange in Hong Kong dipped by a large margin, drawn by profit-taking across market sectors. The action pressed down strong earnings by banks. The mobile market in India closed strong as investors took positions on key financial instruments earlier. Investors were warned against patronizing unregulated schemes pushed in the economy by some jobbers. In the American market, Nasdaq closed lower as its index dropped 6 basis points, and big firms marked down investment on the back of political and racial tensions sweeping across some cities. Now, the Standard & Poor's index also closed in red, forcing major blue-chip firms to look back at their financial performances. Analysts say late trade was particularly disappointing to portfolio managers. And coming down to Africa, the stock market in Accra, Ghana, closed weak. Stock prices were down as investors looked away from the trading floor, putting money in alternative investment vehicles. And lastly, we check out the market in Botswana, which closed in green. Renewed investment appetite came on the back of expectation of possible reports by blue-chip firms there. And riding close to stocks, cryptocurrency Bitcoin hits another record high in its market capitalization, continuing its rally. You're watching Business Tonight. Minister of Power, Works and Housing Babatunde Fashola says the country's power generation capacity has increased to more than 6,000 megawatts, and available transmission capacity is recorded at 6,700 megawatts so far this month. The minister made the disclosure in Kano State, northwest Nigeria, right after the 18th meeting of the country's power sector stakeholders. Well, Fashola says the federal government has optimized the Electricity Sector Reform Act to enable increment in the provision of meters to consumers.
We have improved generation capacity now. As at the 10th of August, the available power now is 6,863 megawatt. The available transmission capacity is 6,700 megawatt. But we now have a new problem. The discos can't take the power because the equipment are aging, they don't have the resources. So again, this is good and it's bad. It's good because our policy of the payment assurance guarantee for gas and Gencos has clearly started taking effect since it was passed. So generation is going up.
We have got this declaration of eligible customer, which the minister has declared according to the Power Sector Reform Act. And the NAC is working on the operational guideline to see how the operation can take place. And even on our side, for the side of TCN, in deploying those investments that we are doing, we speak to each and every of the distribution companies, and we ask them to tell us where they want capacity, which we are putting. And that is how we are working to see how we can increase the load.
In its highest market capitalization yet, cryptocurrency Bitcoin hit another record high this Tuesday with a continuing rally, bringing it close to major stocks. It hit an all-time high of $483.55, continuing what the strong rally has seen in the past weeks. Now, the rally has been driven by the rising demand from Japan, which increased interest from institutional investors. The total coin circulation multiplied by the price also hit $73.5 billion when the record high was hit. Meanwhile, Goldman Sachs says the digital currency may rise above $500 more before losing half of its value. All right, let's get more perspective on what Bitcoin is really all about in this part of the climb. And I have two reps of a Bit Club representatives joining me in the studio to talk about that. And of course, that's Victor Gonzalo and of course, Mr. Ayobami Obafemi. Many thanks for your time, you both, for joining me. All right, let me begin with you, Victor. Why and of course, that's Victor Gonzalo and of course, Mr. Ayobami Obafemi. Many thanks for your time, you both, for joining me. All right, let me begin with you, Victor. Why and how did you get involved with cryptocurrency?
Well, I got involved with cryptocurrency late last year, mid last year. I was still a paid employee then. So I met my business partner here, Ayobami Obafemi, where I used to work. And then he had the opportunity of buying into Bitcoin at the inception in 2009. So he missed the opportunity, so to speak. So last year when he had another opportunity to get into the business, we were pretty close where we work, so he just told me about it and all that, and he told me the story of how he missed out on it when Bitcoin was just 2 cents of a dollar and all that. So that was where the interest came from. And
all right, he actually got the interest from you, and we know it's a kind of risky investment, and in this part of the climb we know how people actually adapt into this kind of investment. Tell us more about it. Now, in the past month, the cryptocurrency gained $30,000 billion in market cap. Why is the demand and value growing?
All right, thank you very much. The demand and, well, the price of Bitcoin is rising, and it will keep rising, going by, you know, basically what drives that is the demand and supply. And with Japan coming into the picture April 1st this year, legalizing Bitcoin in the country makes it, you know, it draws more investors into the community of users of this cryptocurrency called the Bitcoin. Now, before Japan came up, to adopt Bitcoin, we had, you know, merchants, users, and all of that all around the globe, scattered. But the moment Japan announced and, you know, they legalized this currency in their country, additional 260,000 merchants joined in. And right. I mean, since then we've been experiencing exponential growth. Then South Korea equally, you know, legalized it. India, China, and all these places. These are places.
Okay, so you're saying it's a legal business in Nigeria now. So what determines the price of Bitcoin?
It's demand and supply. Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, I need us to understand basically, Bitcoin as a currency is limited in quantity, is limited in supply. You know, throughout human race, we cannot have more than 21 million Bitcoins that will ever be created. That's according to the creator, Satoshi Nakamoto, on his paper in 2009. All right. Now, but currently, we have 16 million plus, about 16.4, 16.5 million, you know, in circulation right now that we all globally now are, you know, using. Now, what determines the price is this. The currency itself is limited in supply. Okay. The demand is increasing. The supply is becoming, you know, small and small every day. Okay. Now, we have 4.5 Bitcoin to be mined, and it's going to take a whole long, you know, time to be created. About 123 years more for the 4.5 million Bitcoins to be created. So what it means is that every year, every 4 years, by the design of difficulty level and all of that, the number of Bitcoin that will be created per day will keep reducing. Okay. Right now is 1,800 Bitcoins that can be created.
All right, let's talk about regulation. We know that many Nigerians have been involved in one form of virtual trading or the other, and for some time there was that negative outlook to it. Now, in terms of regulations, how do Bitcoin exchanges factor in some form of taxation? Let's talk about that.
Well, the truth is that Bitcoin is fully decentralized. Okay. It's not under the control of any government or body. It's basically pushed up, and the use and control is in the hand of the community of users. So basically, it's the security of how you transact your business rests with you, the user, at the end of the day. Okay. Yeah, because there are no government regulation anywhere in the world, except for countries where it is said expressly that we do not allow the use of Bitcoin in this country, or if you use Bitcoin, it's at your own risk, so to speak. But there are no regulations really for the control of Bitcoin. It's fully decentralized. Okay,
so would you say, with the risk involved, would you say that it's a good investment?
It's a gold mine.
So how much have you made?
You don't want to
some tidy money. Some tidy money, yes.
So it's also in virtual form?
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Bitcoin is just like your regular currency that you spend. just that it's in digital form.
All right.
Yes, you don't have it physically that you can touch. It's in digital form.
All right, Amos, thank you so much. We'll leave it at that. Victor Gonzalo and Ayobami Obafemi of the BitClub Networks. Thank you for coming on Business Tonight.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Zimbabwe is plunging deeper into a cash crisis with Econet subsidiaries Ecocash and Steward Bank putting further restrictions on the foreign currency its customers can access for US dollar payments. Now, barely a month after mobile payment platform Ecocash announced a reduction in its monthly transaction limit for Ecocash debit card, it announced a further cutback. Ecocash debit card holders can now only transact $100 per month, reduced from up to about $300 a month. Well, United Kingdom inflation to rise as the pound falls. Well, that's coming up on Business Tonight. While inflation is expected to rise in the United Kingdom after the pound slipped, the recent rise in the price of oil, the further weakness of the pound against major currencies, and the slow but resilient economy are set to encourage further rises in consumer prices. In July, the Consumer Price Index climbed 2.5%, same as in June, and the Bank of England forecast inflation would rise to 3% and wage growth to 2%. Well, the United States may impose trade transactions on China following President Trump's inquiry into the country's actions regarding intellectual practices. Trump's America's First Trade Views shows he is trying to balance working with China on relations with North Korea. Last year, total trade relationship between the U.S. and China was worth $648 billion, with China gaining more and the U.S. amassing nearly $310 billion deficit. Meanwhile, China says it will take action to defend its interest if the United States damages trade ties.
Firstly, we think that the United States should not become the destroyer of multilateral rules. Secondly, any action of trade protectionism taken by the United States will harm trade relations and companies' interests of both sides. Thirdly, if the U.S. side ignores the facts, disrespects multilateral trade principles and takes actions that harm both sides' trade interests, China will absolutely not sit by and watch. It will inevitably adopt all appropriate measures and resolutely safeguard China's lawful rights.
But crude oil prices have dipped as International Energy Agency doubts OPEC's ability to successfully curtail output. A barrel of the European Brent drops to $51 a barrel, with 45 cents coming down. Now for the OPEC basket, a barrel of the crude sells for $49. The oil market is seen to be slippery at a time that the U.S. pumps shale type of the crude to the market. And that's Business Tonight. I am Yemisi Lanredo. Many thanks for watching.